Hello my friend, and welcome to my channel Faisal Azib. I hope that you are well. So we learned about function declaration and expression in the last video. But there is actually a third type of function that was added to JavaScript in ES6. And that's the arrow function. So what is an arrow function? An arrow function is simply a special form of a function expression that is shorter and therefore faster to write. So let's actually get back this function expression that we have do it in the last video and put it here as a reference, just for reference. Now I will just add the command to start our arrow function. Okay? And this is how you write an arrow function. So again, we start here with parameter, directly with parameter. So we need the birth here, okay? Because we want to calculate the age. If there is parameter, of course, if there is parameter. Because there is another case. So we want to calculate the age here, and again, after this, what we will use, or what we will write, we'll add an arrow like this. And that's the reason why this function is called arrow function. And then we simply write that we want to return. So in this case, we write 2021 minus birth year. Okay? And I have parentheses automatically. Don't worry about this. Okay, you can omit them. You can omit the parentheses here. Okay, it's formatted that I added them automatically, but you can omit them. And that's it. Now, to finish, we actually want to be able to use this function. Okay, so let's again store this function in a variable, just like we did here with function expression. So let's say const calc age 3 equal this function. Okay, and then we set that variable to this function here. So as I said, this is a special form of a function expression because it's still a function expression actually. So it is a value. All of this, okay, all of this is value that we assign to this variable called age3. So just like this function expression that is here, but this one, as you see, it is a lot easier and faster to write. Okay, the first reason for that is that we don't need two curly braces for this case, like we have in the function expression to define the code block. And second is that the return actually happens implicitly. So I have omitted the return in this case also. Okay? Arrow function, I have talked about them in Java 8 course in detail. In detail, I repeat, in detail for all the case. So you can see the lambda expression, we call them lambda expression in Java 8 if you want. Of course, we see a lot of case and the same thing here. So let's continue. Let's continue with JavaScript. So this value here will automatically be returned without us having to explicitly write the return keyword. Okay? So this is excellent for simple one-liner function. And you will see through the course that is going to be extremely helpful in certain situations. And now to use this function, of course, it works the exact same way as using all the other functions, no difference about them. So we can we call calc age 3, okay, just like we called the previous one, calc age 1 or calc age 2, and here we put our value And of course, I will store, if you want, the variable into the variable. So age 3. Here there is no difference. Okay. And again, I will log this value to the console to check the result. Console.log age 3. Good. And now I think we should get 35. Okay, just like we have in the previous video. So let's see. Indeed, it works. So the value that we calculated was returned automatically without us having to write the return keyword. Do you see? Now you see that here we don't have, sorry, because I save. I mean here we don't have the parentheses, okay, or anything like that. Just this here is the function. Now, this is actually just the simplest form, which is when we only have exactly one parameter. I repeat, we can omit the parentheses of the parameter or input data of the function only if we have one parameter. Of course, we can put them because the formatter added them automatically, no problem. But if you have more than one parameter, it is mandatory to have them. You can't omit them. Okay, and I repeat, all this case about without parameter, with one parameter, or with multiple parameter, you can find them in the Java 8 course. But of course, I will talk in here. Okay, don't worry about this. But it gets a little bit more complex when we added more parameter or more code. You will see. So let's now write another function. Now we can get rid this function here. We don't need it now. Okay, it is just a reference for the previous one. So let's say that we want to calculate how many years a person has left until retirement. So let's call this function years, of course const, years until retirement. Okay, like this. And then we set that equal to a function. Okay, and once again, let's pass to this function a birth year. Then, don't forget the arrow again. But now, here we need some more code. Because to calculate the number of years until the retirement, based on the birth year alone, we first need to calculate the age. And then, from there, we need to calculate the retirement age minus the current age. So, we need more lines of code. And so, we are back to actually needing the curly braces in this case. Okay, in order to define a code block like this. Okay, because I have here multiple line of code, not just one line. Okay, so to calculate the age based on the birth year, what I will do, const age equal the same thing as previous one minus birth year. It is nothing new. Okay, and now let's calculate the years until retirement basically. And so let's say that the retirement age is 65 years, for example. In Europe. Of course, depend of your country. It's just an example. So I will add another const retirement equal. Here what I will do, 65 minus age. Okay, so as I said, it is in many countries here in Europe at least. And that will then give us how many years we have left. And now, to return this retirement, we actually need the keyword return here. Okay, it is mandatory here. So, I repeat, to return this retirement, we actually need to write the return keyword explicitly. So now return retirement. Okay? So I repeat, we can only omit the return keyword in case we have a one-line function like this one. Okay? Here we have just this line in the body of the function, so we can omit the return and also we can omit the curly braces. Yeah, I have talked about, we have some case, different case, without parentheses, with return keyword, with curly braces, without, etc., etc. Here I will show you this different case. And I repeat, all this one you can find them in Java 8 course. It is the same thing, but we call them lambda expression. So what I have said, but if you have more, then we need to do, I repeat, the return value. So let's now run this function. So what I will do, here's anti-retirement. I use the completion directly. Okay, and then again, some here. So birth here, as always. So we could now capture the return value into a variable, but in this time, I will just put it directly in the console.log. Okay, without using the variable. So just like this. Okay, so let's try that. Good. And so it is 30. And that makes sense because 65 minus 35, which is the age, is 30. Okay? And that's the scenario when we have one parameter here and then more than one line of code, basically. And remember, in that situation, we need the return statement here. Okay? But now, what if we had multiple parameters? Okay? Multiple parameters. I repeat, what is when we have just one, we can omit the parentheses. It's the formatter, sorry, that added them automatically. Okay? Good. So what if I make save, it the formatter added them, no problem, don't worry about this. But if we have multiple parameters, then we need to wrap the parameters into parentheses. Here it is mandatory. It's mandatory. You can omit them. Okay? So in VS Code, we can just select a variable and then write a parenthesis, and as you can see, that has been added automatically. Okay? It's so simple like this. But here, in this case, I omit them. No problem, I can let them. But let's continue. So let's say we want the birth year in this function, and also what we need the first name in this case. Okay? And here I repeat, it is mandatory to have the parentheses because I have multiple parameters, not just one. It is another case. So that we can like return something else like sentence. So let's command this return. I don't need it for this moment. Okay. And instead, let's return a string. And again, we are using a template string here to build that string. And basically, I want to say like first name retires in X years, for example. So let's use the placeholder first name. Okay, like this. So first name retires like this in, and here I have another placeholder and I put retirement after this years, something like this. Okay, and now we need to call, of course, to call it And so let's add the second argument here. For example, my name Faisal, or my friend Halim. Okay, so the first one here is of course the birth year. So that's correspond in 1986. And now the second argument will go to the second parameter. Okay, and it is which is the first name. It is equal to Halim. So let's just call twice, not just one, this function like this. And here, it just to make sense, of course, I will just added another value, and for my friend Musa. Okay, so let's say Musa was born in 1999, sorry, and let's see how many years he has left. So let's just reload for both of them. As you can see, Halim retires in 30 years, and Musa retires in 33 years. Good. And that's essentially how the arrow function works. Okay? So you just need to keep in mind the couple of different scenarios that are regarding to the number of lines of code that you need and the number of parameters. So as you add more code and more parameters, it gets a little bit more complex, and we kind of lose the advantage of using an arrow function. So now you might ask the same question as before. What type of function should I use? Should I use arrow function for everything since they are so easy to write? And well, the answer is no. No. But it's also complicated. That's because there is another fundamental difference between the arrow function and more traditional function. So function declaration and function expression. It's the fact that arrow function do not get so-called this keyword. And this, once more, is topic for much later. So remember that learning is not at all a linear process. It is not at all a linear process. And so topics need to beat up one another in an incremental way. Otherwise, you will just get super overwhelmed and super stressed if I were to tell you everything at the same time. It is impossible, brothers and sisters. So for now, we will actually keep using mainly the normal function, okay, except for very simple one-liner function. For example, like this one, okay, it contains just one line in the block body. And that doesn't mean that arrow functions are not important, huh? They absolutely are. And I love them, and I use them all the time. Sometimes I don't write regular function at all. But again, you cannot yet understand all the application of using arrow function. So for now, again, we'll keep using probably the function expression the most. Okay? So I hope that you have understand how to use this arrow function, because I have finished this video. And the next one, inshallah, I will show you more complicated thing with function. It is how to call function inside another function. Okay, be patient. Yeah, I am trying to make a different video for a lot of topics. It is for you, not for me, to understand each topic very well. I don't want to put all of them in just one video. It is not my purpose. Okay, I have to do the same thing in Java 8. And also PowerPoint. So try to understand how to use arrow function, okay, and to remember all the difference that I have said about arrow function, when to use parentheses, when you can't use them, when it is not mandatory, when to use the curly braces, when you can omit them, of course, also when you use return keyword, when you can omit the return keyword, etc., etc. Not all this one, not please, not. And when you remember them, you will see it will be very, very familiar with how to use any type of function, declaration, expression, or arrow function. Okay? Practice, always practice. Be patient, be strong. Stay motivated, please. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, please. Don't forget Faisal Azib, and follow me in different account Instagram, Faisal.Checo if you like food, travel, graphic design, and Teams.Winners if you like code, different type of code, and in Telegram, Lean Practice and Char, Twitters, Teams Winners. Take care of us. I will tell you goodbye. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.